I'm standing here at the base of the skyscraper, and the scene really is one of pandemonium. Families and friends of many of those trapped inside are gathering, hoping for some news. But so far, we've not even had any demands from the as-yet unknown party or parties behind us. As I understand it, the authorities are currently trying to return the building's computer to their control. But so far, it seems, with little success. This is Canny Crashes Onda for Oedo News.
What a fucking mess. A whole city out of control and all because some shit-for-brains computer got hijacked. What's that saying? To make a mistake is human, but to really fuck things up you need a computer. Ain't that right, shithead?
The building's computer and myself have been designed and built by humans. Therefore, we inherit their faults.
Ha, well you're sure as hell right there. Between the two of us, we can screw up the whole world. I'm just surprised it's taken this long.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Have you ever been in an institution? Cells.
Cells.
Do they keep you in a cell? Cells.
Cells.
When you're not performing your duties, do they keep you in a little box? Cells.
This causes it. This causes it. This causes it. Information overload. All the electronics around you poisoning the airwaves.
You are listening to the High Tech Low Life podcast, a cyberpunk media retrospective. High Tech Low Life contains language and themes not suitable for all audiences, as well as spoilers for the content being covered. Listener discretion is advised.
There's only one thing we can know for certain. Josh and Eric were a perfect match for each other, the bastards. Their egos and that podcast cost them both their lives. May they rot in hell.
Welcome back, everybody, to the High Tech Low Life podcast. Kicking it off with a quote, some of the amazing dialogue that you're going to experience in Cyber City Oedo 808 this week.
Oh man, is that what we were supposed to do? I thought we were going to review the Roland 808 drum machine. It's a classic.
Once again, we got our wires crossed, but weird that you quoted the movie that I watched. I guess just happened to watch that.
The drum machine says that if you
oh, okay.
if you hit the right pads.
If you're new here, that's Josh and I'm Eric, and we are your hosts. No third mic this week.
No, sadly. Although, you know, we also do okay when we're alone.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
We don't need guests all the time.
I often wonder because I prefer our episodes with guests. I think we're better. It feels better. But I know when I'm listening to some podcasts, I prefer when just their normal hosts are on.
Yeah.
So I often wonder what listeners think. Don't tell us though, because we're cool keeping guests sometimes and us sometimes, and I don't want to know what you think.
Yeah. I mean, you know, honestly, you can let us know what you think, but it's not going to change anything.
Yeah, exactly.
We're way too lazy and too insecure about the podcast to actually try and get guests on every week.
Yeah, that would be, I mean, it's hard sometimes just for us to do it. So,
yeah.
But anyway, Cyber City, this movie has some voice acting and honestly worth the price of admission just for that.
Oh, absolutely. This was a great thing to watch.
Yeah. And also, like, sometimes we stretch the definition of cyberpunk on this show to include, and I think next week we might find that happening, but
yeah,
this absolutely 100% within the bounds of cyberpunk. It's exactly what you're looking for. So that was fun too.
Yeah, this is exactly cyberpunk. There are no questions, ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, it's dead on exactly that.
So I am excited to talk about that for a tight 90 minutes. But before we get there, let's do the other stuff we usually do. What do you say?
Yeah. Well, do we want to do Dystopia first or Recommendos?
Let's do Dystopia first because that's how we've done it for every other episode.
Is it? Jesus Christ. I don't know. I don't pay attention to this fucking thing. Look, man, I'm focused on the media.
I understand. I'll worry about things like order of bits.
Yeah. My job is media.
shit in Israel and Lebanon is still popping off, which
Yeah.
is definitely dystopian, definitely horrific. But I don't know that it's changed dramatically since last week. At least I hope not by the time this airs.
Hey, it's the 1-year anniversary of the kickoff of that. So,
actually,
or the Gaza.
Yeah, today as we're recording is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Anyway, so anything else besides that ongoing quagmire of horrific sadness?
Well, there is the excitingly damp quagmire of the Western Carolinas and Eastern Tennessee.
Yeah, we talked about that briefly too. It had kind of just happened though last week.
Yeah,
it's not gotten better.
Not gotten a whole lot better, and it's looking like, assuming that the storm tracks that I've seen are accurate, as this episode is released, Hurricane Milton is going to be striking the west central coast of Florida.
Yep.
So
back to back for you guys.
It's looking like a real bad one. Apparently it is a Category 5 and, quote, growing in strength, according to what I saw a while back.
Yikes. And a lot of insurance companies just flat out bailing out of Florida now.
Yeah. The interesting thing about that is I don't know if a Category 6 exists. I think Category 5, I think Category 5 is kind of like the F5 tornado.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just the top of how that scale goes. So we'll see.
We should do something about climate change.
I don't know, man.
It's going to work itself out.
Yeah.
The scientists will figure out a fix.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, that does remind me of something that we talked about last week on the show with Robin. It's difficult to address that stuff just at a personal level. And one of the interesting things about climate change and the climate is that we actually have really good examples of how that worked positively. Like the hole in the ozone, we stopped using some chemicals, just, as the world, and there's still a hole,
it got better.
It's way, way, way better than it was 30 years ago.
It's always funny when somebody's be like, remember the ozone problem? You don't hear about that anymore. And it's because we fixed that problem. I mean,
and
mostly.
And similarly, Y2K, at this point, the Y2K bug is kind of a huge joke, but the reason that we did not get absolutely fucking crippled by it as a society is because a lot of people put in a lot of hours to, there was a lot of funding going to, let's fix this before it gets completely and utterly fucking broke dick.
Yeah, and it's sad because averted disasters aren't ever going to be big news unless it's some really dramatic, buzzer beater aversion.
Yeah.
Because most of the time it's just a lot of people working really hard and they never really get the credit they deserve. And so even if the world was to collectively come together and beat climate change, in 30 years, you'd have people being like, look at all these regulations we put in place for nothing. Nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
So it's almost a lose situation, except for the fact that, maybe we won't all drown to death.
Yeah, maybe.
I had something I wanted to bring up last week and didn't because we spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it involves an internet meme called the Hawk-Tua girl.
Yes, you mentioned that, and I did not know what about that you were going to bring up.
It's not that interesting. It's not even that. I don't know. It's just something that bothered me because I'm on TikTok fairly regularly, right? And if you're not familiar, I don't know how, but several weeks ago, drunken interview in the streets, some guy asked a girl what do you do to make a guy go crazy? And she goes, you got a Hawk-Tua spit on that thing. And then she became very famous.
Yeah.
And she now has her own podcast. Mm-hmm. And apparently it's very popular.
Yeah. I haven't heard it, but I do like the title. I think that's
Hawk-Tua. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's podcast title peak.
Yeah. Well, as connoisseurs of fine pun podcast titles.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do
Good
better
stuff.
than that.
But my complaints were I started seeing in the last couple of weeks, and even this is kind of dated at this point. Like I said, I wanted to talk about it a week ago, and anything on social media gets dated real fast.
Yeah.
But when her podcast started, I started seeing all these videos, and it was usually just like clips of her saying something kind of dumb, and then on a screen, and then it would scroll, and there'd be like 20 frat guys watching, and then they'd all like break out in uproarious laughter, like it was the funniest thing they had ever seen.
Sure.
And clearly they were mocking it for not being that funny.
Okay.
Which I'm not here to debate whether or not Talk Tua is a good podcast. I don't care. But I just think it's fucked up and such a sign of the stupid internet we live on that all these dumb shit brain dead frat guys made this girl famous. And then when she wanted to capitalize on it just a little bit, just make her life a little bit better as a result of what, for a lot of women would possibly ruin their lives.
Yeah.
They start making fun of her, and it pissed me off. Like I saw so many of these videos of just dudes bagging on this girl that they were thinking was the coolest chick in the world a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And since I have my own fucking platform, I wanted to mention it.
Yeah. Hey guys, misogyny, bad.
Don't do it, guys.
That.
If you have been doing it, you could stop at any time.
Yeah, you can quit. I mean,
I engaged in some of it as a younger man, realized it was wrong, and decided to not do it anymore.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, quit it. Just quit it.
If you were a dog, I'd slap the misogyny out of your mouth.
Yeah,
not hard. Just a little tap.
Yeah. Well, what's
Reach
that in
into
your
your
mouth?
jaws, full fist, grab it in from the back of your throat. This metaphor is getting a little too real.
And then you'll have to hawk to her.
You'll have to talk to her. Anyway, I wanted to bring it up. It was bugging me. So, be nice to talk to a girl. She's just trying to fucking make a living.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I can't, I haven't seen the show. I've seen very little of her beyond the initial clip where I was like, "Oh, that's fun."
Yeah, that's what it should have been because it was fun.
Yeah. But hey, she's actually trying to, like, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Like, she is trying to do her best to get a little cash and, make a little of that cashish off of the momentary, borderline accidental fame she's got. She is not actively exploiting anybody, or, I mean, in many cases, you see this where she would be exploiting herself. She's doing some stupid fucking internet podcast talk show. It's not, she hasn't gone, well, the only way out of this is, gangbang porn or something like that.
Yeah, or the opposite direction.
Yeah.
An apology tour.
Yeah, fucking good for her. She's trying it, and,
if you don't like it, don't watch it. Just like our show. Yeah. Which many people have taken us up on.
Many, many people. The vast, like, upwards of, like, 7.99999 billion people have taken us up on.
Yep. We have, that's fine. Fuck those guys. We only need the ones of you that are listening.
Yeah.
And maybe if you tell a friend or two.
Which isn't to say you shouldn't recommend it to a friend. Or...
Yeah. Thumbs up it on Spotify, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that's probably enough of that. That's not really dystopian, but it is kind of bummer-topian.
Yeah.
So let's move into recommendos if you have any this week.
Okay, I do. I've got a couple. One of which I forgot I was going to say last week, but I don't know. Turns out when Robin's on the show, apparently we go on tangents, which is great. Yeah. And when Robin's on the show and we've got fresh dystopia. Shit.
Yeah, we had a lot of dystopia last week.
Yeah. I watched a documentary on Netflix, I believe, called Will and Harper.
Oh, yes. Familiar.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the trailer for it, I don't know. I think it probably past month or so, 2 months maybe, the trailer came out, and then the movie came out like 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. It is about Will Ferrell and his friend Harper, who he had started on Saturday Night Live with. And then a few years ago, she transitioned, and they do a road trip across the U.S. And because, I don't know, I think it's partially the reasoning in the movie is, hey, basically Will Ferrell's saying, are we still friends? Like this, this person has changed, substantial things about their life.
Yeah.
Are we still friends the way we used to be? And also just generally getting at trans acceptance stuff. It was pretty fucking good.
Cool.
Like
I have not seen it.
It's not nearly as pandering as you might like. It's not nearly as weepy and kind of crappy as you might think.
I imagine they are two very funny people that they would lean into the comedy more than.
Yeah. That's very much it. I mean, there's some real heartfelt moments and stuff like that, but it's not somebody trying for an Oscar play of, oh, my friend, oh my God.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, recommendo for that. It was better than I expected it to be. I kind of just, turned it on thinking, okay, this will be fine. Like I was expecting inoffensive, and it was better and funnier than that.
Nice. I guess it's a recommendo. I went to a Judas Priest concert, and it was pretty fun. Watched a guy piss himself right in front of me. That was cool.
Sweet.
Saw the band Sabaton open up for them, which is this weird Swedish battle metal band that apparently a lot of my friends are big fans of. I had never heard of.
They've been around for like ever.
Yeah, that's what I'm learning. I'd not heard of the guys. They look very funny if you on stage, but they were actually like very charismatic. I was kind of, Swedish metal band. You get a little nervous.
Sure.
They sing about war a lot. You're like, oh God. But I think they're cool. And they were actually quite charming on stage. Anyway.
How was Halford's voice?
Great.
Yeah.
Surprisingly great.
Like I said, he is the one old metal and hard rock guy who apparently has kept his voice in really tip-top shape.
I was like trying to find, to like see if he had a ghost singer or something. Because I know Ozzy used to do that.
Yeah.
Have a ghost singer. But
which was certainly not obvious at all when he was lurching and stumbling all over the stage.
And Halford did kind of walk like an old dude.
Yeah.
Kind of that old dude shuffle. But when he sang, man, you couldn't tell. And like they had videos that would do close-ups, like projected behind him. And I don't think he was ghost singer. I think it was real 74-year-old dude just hitting high notes he used to hit in the 70s. So very gracious, very good performance. Really, I've never been a big Judas Priest fan. Like I've obviously heard of their hits and stuff, but I've never been a super fan. But man, recommend it if you get a chance.
Okay, yeah. I mean, same. It's kind of like, oh yeah, I like some Judas Priest songs. It's not, that was never my genre.
Yeah, the Nawab hymn.
Yeah,
I was excited to get my Nawab hymn on, but it was never my main.
Yeah, I always like Iron Maiden, but beyond that, it's kind of not my,
Yeah,
but
and Sabaton too. Surprised that how much fun I had with bands that I don't usually listen to.
It seems like they would probably be a really fun show. Yeah,
just heavy metal just thrives in person. Like it's hard not to have a good time. But anyway, that's enough about that. What else do you got for me?
Okay, I've got 1.5 more. The half. Okay, so I watched the new Matlock show.
Oh God.
Because of my new roommate.
All right, fair. Makes sense.
Yeah, I watched the new Matlock show, which stars Kathy Bates as Matlock.
Great.
It has a kind of weird twist in that the show exists in a universe in which there was an Andy Griffith show named Matlock, where he was a lawyer, and Kathy Bates on this show is a lawyer named Matlock.
Okay.
So obviously as an audience, you're like, what the fuck is going on here? This is nonsense. Kill yourselves. Um, and then, like, we go. It's a very
So it's like if like a famous British spy named James Bond suddenly started doing spy stuff.
She repeatedly says what amounts to yes, Matlock, no relation. um, so what it's like a totally normal and acceptable, like, legal, procedural show.
Yeah.
With like, pretty good supporting cast, couple, you're looking at it like, oh yeah, okay, I can see how this, subplot is going to play out, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to spoil it for you because I think it makes the show much more interesting.
I won't be bothered, but if any of our, over 60 crowd is out there looking forward to this show, cover your ears.
Yeah. You spend the show going like, okay, so yeah, they're hanging a hat on, oh, this is a Matlock show. It's going to be a legal, she's going to solve problems in a down home common sense, like Matlock did. But then at the end of the show, it's been established that she is like a 68-year-old fucking widower, and she's just scraping by. And then at the end of the show, she hops in a limo. The limo takes her to her home, which is this palatial fucking estate. And it is revealed her name is not, in fact, Matlock. This whole thing is to get into this law firm and find details about them hiding evidence of opioid addictiveness back in like the early 2000s. And she is investigating it because her daughter died of an opioid addiction. And it's like, you're just, the last 4 minutes of the episode, you're like, what in the fuck is happening here? It's just like, I don't know. It is such a, for something that is theoretically a reboot or legacy sequel, ? It is such an odd setup.
I don't know what to say.
Anyway, Kathy Bates is good. Shocking.
As always. Yeah.
I have one more if you don't, and it's a quick one.
My only one is a second Mendo for something you've recommended in the past, and that's Shogun. I'm enjoying it. I'm almost through it now. Love it dearly.
Yeah. Yeah, that show rules. Have no idea about how / the concept of a second season for it, but whatever.
Yeah. Didn't they just win a ton of Emmys too?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Check it out if you haven't. Anyway,
yeah,
what's your final one?
It's a good show.
And does it involve Joshua Jackson?
You got me. Huge recommendo for Dr. Odyssey, baby.
Is it good?
It's like, there's only been 2 episodes out so far, and it is exactly what it says on the tin. It's fucking Josh Jackson looking sexy on a cruise ship, not wearing socks with any of his shoes.
Why would
being a fucking sexy doctor.
I mean, is there anything better than Joshua Jackson and boats combined?
I know, right?
It's all we wanted ever.
Yeah. And
get Katie Holmes in there to really put the cherry on top. But
that's got to be like fucking sweeps week or something, right? It's exactly what you want, and it's like all the episodes, or at least it's set up so all the episodes are theme based. One of them is singles week, and within the first 40 seconds, somebody breaks their dick.
A good dick breaking.
Yeah. Oh, no, wait. That was the honeymoon. Themed episode. Singles week had a syphilis outbreak, and it's high quality, like fights in hot tubs, and it's great. I just recommendo if you want just some absolute bullshit of pretty people.
I do want
Josh
that.
Jackson. Yeah.
I want that right now.
I know, right?
I'm going to go get some of that later tonight.
Yeah.
That's good for our recommendos.
Yeah.
Okay, that means nothing left but to do it.
Nothing left but to do it.
Cyber City Oedo 808.
Yes.
All right. Well, what'd you think, Josh? Overall, did you have a fun time watching this?
I thought it was great.
I did too.
I wish they had made 1,100 episodes or
I wish there
whatever
were
the fuck
more.
it is that One Piece show I was told consists of.
Yeah.
Like, I would. Well, okay. On the one hand, I wish they had made like 400 episodes of this. On the other hand, 3 episodes was very digestible for our
Yeah.
schedule.
No, it was. It was perfect for us, and it was. Things get worse when you get more of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes small portions are good. I do want to, at the top, shout out to James who recommended this for us.
Yes.
What did he say? I wanted to read what his email said. He said, Cyber City Oedo 808, you can watch it free on YouTube. It's a solid cyberpunk romp with really engaging set of characters. The robot sidekick is a bit annoying, but I think that may have been intentional. Also, the swearing in the English dub is capital hilarious, which agree.
I don't think that's hilarious at all. I think it was deadly serious.
I think it was perfectly acted.
Yes.
They said the word fuck and fucking more than we do, which is quite an accomplishment.
Yeah. Yeah. This, I do not know how we did not watch this obsessively in like 1997.
I know.
Just like,
it must have been not available in Central Kansas.
Yeah, because if it had been, Jesus Christ, it would have been on a loop. We would have worn out like 15 videotapes.
And we'd be quoting it it would be
yeah,
like an ingrained part of our vernacular to this day.
Yeah.
Fantastic dialogue. I don't know if it's the translation or just the dubbing actors just doing a incredible job.
Hard.
I don't know what it is, but the line delivery is so hilarious.
Yeah. They are selling every line as if it's their last.
Now, the storylines and characterization, yeah, it's fine too, but I guess that's not really why we're here. So
that also rules.
Yeah, I mean it's super cyberpunk.
Yeah.
And it's not like completely anti-cop, but yet it also manages to kind of be anti-cop too.
Yeah, I think it's pretty anti-cop.
Yeah. So I don't know how you plan to do this. I mean, it is 3 episodes. Are you going to still try to go scene by scene?
I don't know if it's going to be quite scene by scene, but
I don't think that's totally necessary.
Yeah. Just, at the very least, we're going to do the setup. So it's in the year 2808. Note that the number 808 keeps coming back over and over again. I don't entirely know why.
Me either.
Like, it keeps popping up on the number of a door, in an office building or in license plates on vehicles. It's very odd. I assume it has some kind of significance. Don't know what, though. So we start in 2808. We're in a fucking space prison, because why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a great way to start anything.
Yeah. Space prison shit. So you hear some announcements and some people are let out of their cells. 3 people. One guy, Sengoku. One guy, Gogol. And another guy, Benten. And the warden of the space prison basically offers them a deal. Go to Earth, work for the cops, and do the most dangerous jobs in exchange for sentence reductions. And they all have sentences around 300 years.
Yeah.
For I don't know if you went through the entirety of the credits and paused them. I didn't go through and type everything, but there's all sorts of fun crimes, tons of murder, hacking, check kiting.
Oh, nice. These guys are just scumbags.
Yeah. All sorts of assaults, whatever. And so they can get their sentences reduced for doing these dangerous jobs, or you can just stay locked up in this space prison. And they're all dicks.
Yeah.
And they're like, fuck you, pig. But I guess it's better than nothing. So he gives them all jites, which is a Japanese weapon that is symbolic of police forces in Tokyo, because I don't know, I read a whole thing about it.
Yeah, I saw that too, actually.
Yeah, because nobody was allowed into the shogun's palace with swords, so they gave the guards these.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of like, it kind of looks like a short, like half of a sigh. How about that?
Yeah, like a sigh without one side of it. Yeah.
But these are like cool fucking cyberpunk ones, because at least one of them has a fucking monowire in the hilt.
Yeah, that sometimes it's in the hilt, sometimes it's in his ring, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then one of them, like, you can put poison in it.
Yeah, you can shoot with it.
Yeah. They're definitely just kind of catch-all gadgets.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then we get the credits. That's set up for the whole series.
I mean, that's all I needed.
Yeah. And then the credits are like, I don't know, shots, classic anime credits of like shot and freeze frame of these three characters doing cool shit, and their mug shots, and just classic Future City bullshit.
Set to a prog metal theme.
Yes, the soundtrack to this is all-time killer. All killer, no filler. I mean,
apparently when it was rreleased in America, Rory McFarlane did a redo of it, and then that went away.
Yeah, I saw that on the Wikipedia, and I meant to look it up and see if I could find it somewhere, but I didn't. Anyway, it fucking rules as it is. It sounds like the F-Zero theme.
Yeah, kind of that early 90s Super Nintendo music, yeah.
Yeah. So, as some background for the show, this came out in 1990, and was directed, I can't remember the name of the director, but he is part of a studio called Madhouse, which also did a bunch of Vampire Hunter D, Wicked City, Ninja Scroll.
Some of our faves.
Yeah, I mean, like, how did we not, like, this must have just been unavailable in America.
Or at least in our part of America, because there was no, like, you know, you had to luck into a video rental store that cared about anime. And there weren't that many of those where we lived.
Yeah, that's true. Demon City Shinjuku? I mean, shit. Yeah. Like, this is perfect. It's great. So, and the, like, it's really interesting watching this compared to the other animes we've watched on this show, where I think everything we've watched on here has been Ghost in the Shell or post Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, it was Ghost in the Shell and the Cyberpunk 2077 are the only two we've done, right?
Yeah, and I mean, those are really, like, I don't know that I have seen a post Ghost in the Shell or a pre Ghost in the Shell anime for 20 fucking years. And I think you can really see, like, and just watching this brought back, like, oh yeah, this is what anime looked like before. Because Ghost in the Shell, I think, at least in America, is perceived as a, like, seismic shift in kind of how the animation gets done and how it looks.
Yeah, it feels like you're tapping your mic stand again, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Yep, I was. Yep, my fault.
It's all good.
So, yeah, it really feels very different and very old school, even though it was only like 4 or 5 years before Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, what year did Akira come out? Do you know?
Akira was
could easily look it up.
7? Question mark.
So it's post Akira, pre Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has that look. Like, anime looked different in the early 90s, and I prefer it because that's what I watched when I was a kid. But you know, to each their own.
Like, well, and I think the thing is that one of the things about Ghost in the Shell is that it made anime really actively beautiful. Like, and prior to that,
I would say Akira did too.
Yeah, Akira, I don't know, Akira in my mind kind of stands on its own as a totally different thing.
I can see that. It's special.
Yeah, but also we're dealing with, you know, our idiot American perceptions of...
True, but like from what I've watched, you know, little mini docs on Akira, and they went above and beyond what anyone else was doing in anime at the time, and I don't think it didn't become standard. It was like, it was special for Akira.
Yeah.
And Ghost in the Shell probably did some of that too.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the impression that I get. But then I think Ghost in the Shell, based on my memory and experience, had a lot more. Like, I think maybe it had to do with how CG entered anime or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was immediately relatively more easily replicable. Anyway, yeah, this is old school. This is old school anime bullshit. Like fucking Fist of the North Star looks like this.
Yeah, lower budget, less artistic, and like
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell. Almost any scene you can pause and then use that as your desktop wallpaper,
And
it's
many
gonna be
people
cool.
did. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much any frame in that is wallpaperable.
this isn't bad. Like, it's still got a lot of cool
Oh, yeah.
stuff, but it's much more utilitarian because I'm sure, had a smaller budget. It was a
Oh yeah. Yeah.
miniseries.
Yeah. So we've got these cool characters. They're in nebulous future city, which is Tokyo, which has been renamed to Oedo.
Cyber City, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Might be Cyber City Oedo, but I haven't
Yeah.
quite figured out what Oedo means. I've been trying to Google it.
I actually tried that this morning and had exactly zero luck because there are 9 billion things that say Oedo and none of them have anything to do with Japan or
Yeah.
anything. So basically the setup is that we got 3 main characters, and each episode is going to focus on a different one of the main characters, with the others in supporting roles.
Yeah. Which I didn't know until I got to like
Didn't either.
halfway through the second
Yeah.
one, and then I realized what was happening.
Yeah, me too. So the most main guy energy,
Yeah.
and the first of the sort of the most standard, I'm a kick-ass anime
Yes.
hero guy.
Standard 80s/90s action star guy.
Yeah, is Sengoku. And he looks like he could have come directly out of the Rockers in
Yeah. Sure.
And he's got a fucking bouffant and a leather jacket.
Yeah, kind of a bouffant mullet tied into
yeah.
a ponytail. Kind of Steven Seagal-y.
Yeah, in my mind, that's one of the very standard anime haircuts.
Yeah.
Like,
It's good stuff.
yeah, it's great. And I think if I remember right, he's got the longest sentence of any of the main characters, but who cares? They're all.
He's also kind of the biggest piece of shit.
Yeah, he's also the biggest asshole and piece of shit. So,
I like one thing I like about this is how they didn't make these guys likable.
no,
They're just pieces of shit.
like there are some likable aspects to the other two, but those are minimal compared to every other aspect of their personalities.
Nobody was in the writer's room saying, we got to give people a reason to like these guys. They're like, because they're the point of view of the story. That's why you like them.
Yeah. So in this first episode, which focused on Sengoku, we start off with there's this cool future car. We're in what amounts to seems like a car chase. A guy is running from Sengoku in this futuristic non-Cybertruck looking fucking Lamborghini cop car.
Yeah.
And he's got Sengoku has a fun police robot friend named Varsus, who is just annoying. I mean, kind of funny.
Is it Varsus or Verasus? Either way, I go back and forth.
Yeah. And then Sengoku just ramps off this fucking drawbridge and lands on this guy's fucking hovercraft and, takes him in for a, 3-year reduction of his sentence. So this
300-year sentence.
Yeah. Yeah. So now he has 312 years, 4 months, and 2 days left after that.
Really chipping away at it.
Yeah. So this is basically the setup for the whole thing. We always see like a little bit of, they're them doing their normal kind of criminal bounty hunter shit. And then after the credits or a couple of minutes in, it starts on the full plot of the episode, which is some bigger thing.
Yeah.
So we also learn that all of these criminals have necklace bombs, which is classic cyberpunk bullshit.
Yeah.
You got to do what your boss says, or he'll blow your head up. And there's always going to be a time limit. Their boss is a guy named Hasegawa, who looks like the most stereotypical executive in a cyberpunk movie.
Yeah,
Like,
sort of. Yeah.
he is also a dick. Like, not to be understated how much the main characters are dicks. This guy is a bigger dick.
Yeah. He's willing to pop their heads because there's always another criminal he can go grab out of space prison.
Yeah, we find out in the next episode that there are a bunch of these guys out here.
Yeah. They are completely what's the word?
Expendable?
Expendable, yeah.
Yeah. So it turns out, and we get a cutscene of this guy in a computer control room where the screen is just flashing, kill you, kill you, kill you at him. We find out that the Cyber City skyscraper building has been hacked. And this is a very large skyscraper. It's like, I don't know, 500 stories and way up, like borderline low orbit.
Yeah. Very tall size skyscraper.
Yeah. So this building has been hacked, and it's suggested that there might be some ransom or something that's going to be asked for, but tons of people are trapped inside, and the hackers have taken over all the computer systems, and it's bad. And also, this skyscraper is connected to the military computers and could take over all their strategic weapons, which includes a giant satellite laser gun.
Yep. Classic. Satellite laser gun.
Yeah. So Sengoku's got to get up there and take care of this within 24 hours, or maybe it's 12 hours, doesn't matter. Because the cops don't want to have to pay out whatever the ransom would be. So they've got a suspect. They have a name. It's the one of the controllers, a guy named Dave. So, totally normal anime name. So then he's riding up for some reason, the outside of the building.
Yeah, there are a few. Those type of elevators exist.
Yeah. Well,
it'd be a hell of a view.
No, you're thinking of the elevator that the people are trapped in later. This is in like a one-person capsule.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was a different elevator.
It's a different elevator. Yeah.
Okay.
But
it was on the outside too, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Okay.
So he rides up.
Though. It's like a one. You're right. It's not a functional elevator. Maybe a maintenance elevator or something.
Oh yeah, maybe for like window cleaning up in the upper atmosphere.
Yeah, got to keep those windows clean that nobody see.
And at this point, we also, when he's leaving Hasegawa's office, I'm pretty sure there is a sample in an Atari Teenage Riot song of him saying, "Take your head out of your ass." Because assume any line of dialogue said by the main characters in this involves cussing of some sort.
Yeah, there's definitely a curse word being said.
Yeah. So then we get to Gogol is also in the building, and he's hacking it. He's trying to work out the computer system. Turns out he's the hacker of the group.
Also the only one that with like obvious cybernetic.
Yeah.
He's got cyber eyes, like a visor.
Yeah. And eyes under the visor. We find out later. And he says ice, like intrusion countermeasure electronics. So we're like in serious cyberpunk territory.
Yeah, ice is definitely a cyberpunk term.
Yeah. And then Benton's like trying to get down to this.
Benton, by the way, is the name you would least expect. The other two names are normal. Then you see this like weird, like androgynous, like big haired person, and it's named Benton.
Yep. Yeah, it's odd.
That's like a butler's name.
Yeah. Benton is a classic anime bishonen, like beautiful youth.
Yeah.
Very androgynous, like long nails and like makeup and just beautiful. um,
Very graceful.
yeah,
All his actions are very cat-like.
yeah, he's the very, I don't know, not dark, but doing like the ninja acrobatic bullshit.
Yeah, in fact, opposite of dark. Always wearing white.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's got the monofilament whip.
Yeah, he has the mono whip. So he's trying to lead some troops down this hallway that's full of fucking lasers that are shooting back and forth.
Real quick, sorry to interrupt again, but one thing I like about the beginning of this episode is how these people interact.
Mhm.
Like when they see each other on the job, it's very coworker.
Yeah.
To me, they're just like he talks shit on Benton, like because Benton's trying to go through the front door and he's come up with other ideas. I don't know. I liked.
Yeah,
Benton's really a non-entity in this episode, but
yeah,
he's doing his best in the background.
Yeah, and he's like, "Don't shit yourself while you're," you know. Yeah, it's very much
shit. You're fucking fuck.
It's very much friendly coworkers fucking with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So he goes. Sengoku goes into the service ducts with a giant fucking revolver, and there's robot drones in the service ducts, and he has to shoot some people. Whatever. We meet Dave. He gets into the control room. We meet Dave.
Oh,
Dave's,
by the way, at this point, it's been pointed out that like his maybe girlfriend crush from work is being trapped in an elevator in this building.
Yeah, she was trying to rescue people and is now trapped with them. So he gets into the control room, and we meet Dave, the programmer / engineer of this building. And Dave has figured out who's behind this. It's a guy named Yoshikazu, who was involved in the construction. And spoiler alert, the whole episode basically ends up like Dave killed Yoshikazu so that he would get all the credit for how cool this building is. As opposed to being overshadowed by his genius. And somehow Yoshikazu's corpse got integrated into the mainframe.
Yeah.
And is now trying to kill him and haunt him.
Actually pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it's very cool looking. It's like this rotting fucking half a skeleton supported
connected
by
to wires.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking sick, honestly. I'm going to curse a lot in this episode. I feel like it's a fitting tribute.
Yeah, it is very sick. In like the coolest way. So we go through this whole thing where because like Sengoku's like, okay, well, I guess I gotta go figure out what's going on with this Yamakaze thing. It must be in the building somewhere. So he goes to do that. Then Yamakazu fires up the space laser, which Gogol is hacking against and like keeps closing the iris on it.
Yeah, Gogol's. It feels very cyberpunk, very Shadowrun. Like you got your hacker and your team in the field. It's good stuff.
Yeah, and then there's also later at the end of the episode, like Yamakazu's last plot is this building has the active spinning anti-earthquake gyroscope thing, which is real. But he powers that down so the building starts to tip over and collapse. It's very neat looking.
Yeah.
And it turns out that Hasegawa was listening to the whole thing with Dave and tells Sengoku, like, no, you got to go kill Dave because he admitted to a bunch of crimes. So if you just kill Dave, this will probably end. But Sengoku's like, I'm already on the fucking program floor. Whatever.
He's annoyed by the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Often they are just annoyed by Hasegawa.
Even though he could pop their heads open at any moment.
Yeah. So, like the elevator that Okio and all the and a bunch of other people are in starts dropping. The building's collapsing. Gogol's doing a lot of typing. Benton and Sengoku run and like do tank fights
through
the security system of the building. And Then we get to this cool fucking half a skeleton connected to the mainframe.
Yeah,
it's real, like it's real Cronenberg shit. It's firing wires out of the computer into Sengoku.
Yeah, if you're not watching this, you should probably Google it. It's pretty damn cool and cyber goth. I don't know.
Yeah. Sengoku stabs the skeleton, and
Skellington. Jack Skellington is in this.
Yes. And it blows up, and everything starts to go back to normal. The building starts straightening out. Dave falls out a window. And then we cut to, out of nowhere, Sengoku creeping around like a normal building on a window ledge. And you're like, what the fuck is this? I guess it's over. And then we flash back, I guess.
Yeah.
To Sengoku's sentence being increased for disobeying.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut back to the window ledge and we see Hasegawa inside, and Sengoku pulls out his jite and I guess is going to go in and kill Hasegawa.
Maybe.
It's not if so, it is not in sequence with the rest of the episodes.
Yeah.
But it's cool looking.
There's one thing I wanted to point out. I didn't write this one down, but it is on. I wanted to write it down, and it's in the IMDb quotes.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the episode, when Sengoku is talking to his would-be girlfriend after he just rescued her.
Yeah, and he's kind of a dick.
I'm just going to read this interaction between them because it made me laugh in the moment. She says, "Hey, tell you what, why don't you buy me dinner?"
Oh,
and he
yeah.
goes, "Because I'm tired and I'm pissed off and you're a cop and I'm a con, because it's raining and I forgot my umbrella, and most of all, I'm broke."
Yeah.
That's just good writing.
Yeah. Assume anything in this show, like anything I describe, is probably accompanied by dialogue like that.
Yeah. There's another one here that after his sentence, he's talking to Varsus, the robot, who tells him his sentence was not reduced after that job. And he goes, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself, Gogol. Listen, you miserable good-for-nothing piece of tin-plated scrap iron. Either you reduce my sentence or I'm going to fucking break you up. But first I'm going to take you and shove you right up Hasegawa's ass where you goddamn well belong.
Yeah, it is full of
always
top-tier quotes.
To get all the English into a time frame that was probably less wordy in Japanese, they always are talking so fast. I love it.
Okay, so episode 2, the decoy program. All these episodes, and we didn't mention it, all these episodes are like, it's episode 1, Data 01. What was the title of that one? Memories of the Past.
Yeah.
And this is episode 2, Data 2.
The
decoy program. Not sure why. I'm sure it probably makes sense.
Probably makes more sense in Japanese.
Yeah. Anyway, this is going to be the Gogol episode. We see him creeping through some ruins. Some fucking birds are fluttering around. You know, it's fucking John Woo bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his emotional support AK-47.
Yeah.
And he creeps up to this doorway where a dude is using like micro robots and a computer to try and get his own explosive collar off.
Oh, right. Yeah, I liked this guy.
Yeah.
He almost had it.
Yeah. And apparently he stole a bunch of cyber police files and then sold them to get the rig that would maybe get his collar off. And Gogol's like, hey, I mean, you know, if that works for you, fuck it. I'm next in the chair. I'm not going to take you in.
The dude's like, "You're here to bust me, right?" And he's like, "Well, I mean,
yeah,
if this works, I'm not going to bust you."
Yeah. All right. We can run off and start a life together.
Yeah.
But oh no, the thing explodes. So
bummer.
Yeah. Bummer. And then we cut to like this bearded guy being chased down an alley in the darkness, and there's a big cyborg thing that kind of looks like the Predator.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty cool looking. And then the dude gets blown up by the Predator thing's mind? Question mark.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't all like strictly science fiction. There's some There's some psychic magic shit involved in this.
Yeah, well, and I don't know, one of the interesting things about psychic powers is that if you look at the like 30s through fucking, I don't know, early 70s, so many hard sci-fi stories just assume that there are psychics and everything. Like,
okay.
It's just a thing throughout tons of what would be considered hard sci-fi. And now you're like, oh yeah, it's magic bullshit. But
Yeah.
it was just assumed by a lot of the old pulp authors, like, oh yeah, eventually, we're going to be able to unlock, parts of our brain that we can't access right now, and we'll have psychic abilities. No big deal.
Sure. I mean, it still could happen.
Yeah, like that's just the way it's going to work. So yeah, we do see a lot of that in this. So turns out that the bearded guy was a criminal, like a cyber, like what did I say, biotechnician, and they get a boot print that indicates that maybe the cyborg is some sort of special forces robot.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And that's really the plot of the whole thing. The special forces don't currently have a war to fight. So they are trying to take over policing in Cyber City. And they want to shut down the cyber police unit and like take over the whole thing and kill everybody. And this whole thing is set up as like it's all this trap to draw in the cyber police and get them killed by this.
Specifically Gogol.
Yeah, specifically Gogol as a kind of proof of concept test.
I guess he's their biggest badass, and he kind of is. Like, he's the hacker, but he's also...
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
He's also lugging around fucking hand cannons and is 2.02 meters tall, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and like 193 kilograms. I don't know. He's gigantic.
I did like this episode because Hasegawa kind of stands up for his boys.
Yeah.
for like a half second.
He's like, I hate these fucking pricks, but they're my fucking pricks.
Exactly.
And also this episode, we see some beautiful fucking mono wire work from Benton. Although we'll get that more in the third.
Yeah, third episode is where we're really getting that.
And apparently Gogol just hangs out in like a garbage truck RV.
Love it. Like a nice little cozy setup he's got. He was van lifing before van life was a thing.
Yeah, it's very cool. And he's been running.
Oh, wait, real quick. I was just imagining he's like, when it cuts to his inside, he's got like a bookshelf full of books.
Yeah.
And then like the next scene, he's driving that thing off an overpass. And I'm like, oh,
yeah,
books are everywhere.
Yeah, they really are.
It's a mess back there.
Yeah. So he gets pulled over, except he's not moving. But he gets looked at by the Spec Ops guys and
apparently just parks in the street
in the middle of a freeway.
I took that to be like, so this city, this is the year 2808, 800 years of highway building. Like a lot of them probably just aren't in use anymore.
Yeah.
You can probably just find an abandoned part of the highway to park your truck on.
So yeah, the Spec Ops guys like say, hey, we're looking for this 25-year-old female criminal, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I don't know. I ain't seen anybody. Fuck off. And they fuck off. And it turns out that this 25-year-old female criminal is in the truck with him. Her name is Sarah. He's known her for some amount of time.
Yeah, they're old friends. They used to work together before he became a prisoner and then cop.
And now she has a Harley Quinn fucking Queen's accent.
I love it.
It's hilarious.
Feels so out of place in anime that's so Japan focused.
Yeah.
She almost, it was kind of Harley Quinn.
She's like, oh, Gogo.
We could have been so good together, Gogo.
Yeah. So we found out that all this stuff is somehow connected to Spec Ops. And at this point, also, we see Sengoku like scubaing into a Spec Ops base in the bay or something. And
yeah, this is when I was confused because I thought Sengoku was our main character, but I'm like, they're spending a lot of time on Gogol.
Yeah. Yeah, this is about the point where it keyed for me as well. And he runs into Benton, who's already there. And they have some fun shit talking between each other.
Benton's like, I'm going to prepare. Like, we have to wait 12 hours for this place to unlock and us to get out of here. So I'm going to prepare. And Sengoku's like, okay, you do that. I'm going to take a fucking nap.
Yeah. So, Sarah apparently did some hacking and thieving and found some designs for new robots, which is why Spec Ops people are after her. And then there's a car chase because the Spec Op guys come back to Gogol. And they're doing this huge car chase. He's like jumping this fucking dump truck from one overpass to another. It's very cool. He sprays some fucking smoke or oil out the back and loses, quote marks, the Spec Ops guys. And then we cut to a guy, one of the Spec Ops guys, talking on a radio saying he took the bait. So we're like, what the fuck? And then it runs through this whole thing of the Spec Ops guys telling Hasegawa that Gogol is the one who hacked all this stuff and they're gonna fucking kill him. And this is when we get into the plot of, we're gonna replace you, motherfuckers. Ha ha ha. And we find, like, I don't know, through the whole thing, Benton and Sengoku get into the base and they find these body parts and these fucking cryotube things with corpses in them.
Oh shit!
And it's
I didn't write
wicked
it down.
looking.
There was a line. I think Benton says it when the dude's unloading body parts and he's like up there. He's like, "I'd like to have a conversation about your assorted bits." Or
Yes,
like that. It was so fucking funny.
Yeah, it is very funny. So anyway, Hasegawa finds out this plot, calls Gogol on his neck bomb.
Which, because the neck bombs are also communicators.
Yeah, it's very funny.
They have loudspeakers in them too, as we'll find out later.
Yeah. He tells Gogol that he's being chased by this new cyborg. And then he hangs up and is talking to Sarah and says, "That's fucking typical. I hate that bastard. This shit happens to me all the time." Like, you're always being pursued by a new model police cyborg or new model military cyborg.
That's just the life of Gogol.
It is. So we get and then more Spec Ops guys show up. There's more car chase. And like, you know, they're being chased by a hovercraft and it's firing a fucking minigun at them. And then Sarah leans out the open door of the truck, says, Eat this, Dick Splash."
Dick Splash.
And takes down the hovercraft with a single pistol shot.
Sarah rules. Like,
yeah, she's
not undersell her.
Yeah, she is very cool. So Sengoku and Benton are in this base and they're looking through files and shit. And this is the point at which I wrote down some of the stuff that was Gogol's data. He is 28. He's 202 centimeters tall. 60% Asian, 10% Caucasian, 20% African, 10% other. He is from Shanghai and has an IQ of 150.
Oh, smart. Yeah. He's strong and smart. He's got it all.
Yeah.
Total package.
Yeah. So now they've all kind of figured out the plot, except for a twist. Turns out that Sarah has been working for the military. She got caught stealing the data and was told she had to set him up. So he's pretty blasé about it. And she feels bad about betraying him. But then the cyborg shows up. Cyborg's like walking down this fucking on-ramp. And she steals the truck and tries to wreck it into the cyborg. Unfortunately, the cyborg has mind powers.
Yeah. Nobody expected that.
She ends up drowning. It's bad.
Gogol jumps in and retrieves her body. It's sad.
Yeah. But he gets captured as soon as he brings her out of the water, and his mohawk is still fucking high.
Yeah. This is also when the bad guys show up and reveal their entire plan to him.
Yeah.
Convenient.
So it's Project Molcos, Molcos, maintain of law cybernetic organism Suoth? Suath.
Is that what the paper said when you paused it?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that might be a mistranslation of stealth or something.
Could be. Stealth makes more sense, yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I don't know.
Psychic without the P.
Swath. Yeah, I don't know. So it's got a psychic stimulator armor, which makes people's latent psychic abilities kill them and like blow up their brains. So Benton and Sengoku get captured by military guys. They're about to be executed by the hydraulic press guy from YouTube.
This scene was so fucking great.
It was. Yeah, Sengoku is about to walk into the press, and
there's so many pancake puns.
Oh yeah, it's fucking ridiculous.
I guess we haven't pointed out the amount of puns that are in this too. There, any chance somebody can get,
they're chock full.
They're word playing some bullshit. Like, specifically Jeff from Astronomica. If you're listening to this and haven't seen it, please go watch it, man. You'll love it.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. Yeah, so then Benton triggers the bombs that he set while Sengoku was taking his fucking nap. And then Benton starts mono-wiring motherfuckers left and right. And they're escaping the military guys.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Gogol gets dropped in a dark room by military guys with a rifle and a suitcase. It turns out he's on a giant antenna. With a building or with a couple of floors in the middle of it. And then he sees in another building looking at him, the military upper brass.
From those seats.
Yeah, they're in an observation building and he has to fight the fucking cyborg. So
he seems pretty stoked about it. Well, not stoked necessarily, but like, just another day at the office.
Yeah. And he figures out that, these are the guys who bought the data that the guy at the very beginning of the episode was sold to buy his bomb disposal kit.
Yeah.
And that's why they have so much data on him and everybody else. So we get a fucking cool, like, guns and telekinesis fight where the building is being torn down. It's the cyborg has like Inspector Gadget arms and legs. Mm-hmm. Where they just extend.
It's also classic anime shit where like the entire world is being destroyed around them as they fight.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's classic anime bullshit.
Yeah.
So Hasagawa shows up in the military brass room and starts yelling about how they're fucked because they're illegally using corpses from the data that Benton and Sengoku gave him. And they say, fuck you, we're whipping your boy's ass. Nobody's going to care what you think after this demonstration. Gogol gets his ass whipped for a while. Then he gets back into the fight. He fires like 9,000 missiles at the cyborg.
Well, he gets knocked off and you think, oh no, he'll never survive this fall. Yeah. And then Sengoku and Benton show up.
Yeah. And save him by dangling a chain from a floater.
Which, by the way, that's the only help they're giving him. Mm-hmm. They're not going to help him fight.
No.
But they do save him from falling to his death.
Yeah.
And then they sit there and watch.
Yeah. So he fires 9,000 missiles at this fucking thing. It is like a hilarious sequence.
It is. It's great. But I kept thinking they were like, with our powers combined, we can beat this thing. And they're like, no, we're not getting involved.
No,
we're
this is
getting paid for this.
This is your problem. So they have a big fight, and Gogol and the cyborg get all fucked up. Gogol's like eyes break and he's blinded. The cyborg's legless. And then the cyborg reacts like strongly to the sound of Gogol banging a fucking girder because he's like walking over to try and hit it with this girder because he's about dead.
That's about all he's got left.
And then he has this thing like he, talks to the police robot and he's like, play this sound back loud. And it fucks up the cyborg. So it can't really fight back. And then Gogol takes out fucking hand to hand while he's blind. And he has this thing's hand stabbed into his guts and torn off. and he pulls the hand out and jams it into the military brass guy's throat.
Yeah, kills the military guy.
Yeah. Because the military guy's going to shoot him in the face because he spoiled our test.
Yeah.
And it rules. Like, Gogol's my hero. I don't know. Like, had I run across this show when I was 16.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
maybe it's best that we didn't list. Like, this is the probably of everything we've watched, like the closest to Shadowrun, which was my kind of obsession in my late teens. This would have been my favorite thing, probably.
Yeah.
If I'd come across it when I was that age.
Yeah.
Also, we've also kind of left out the role of the police robot, who he's got a lot of lines. He doesn't really have much consequence other than delivering information. But like our emailer said, he is quite annoying, but that is completely by design. And it's funny because they just shit on him the whole time. They all fucking hate him. Yeah,
it's clearly very intentional.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's in the third episode. No, it's in the second episode when Sengoku is swimming off to the underwater base. He's like, go fuck yourself or go fuck off. And the robot's like, well, that doesn't make any sense in the context because I am a robot incapable of genetic reproduction. And and it's just going on as he's scuba-ing.
Yeah. Oh, man. I love it. That's pretty much it for the second episode.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the third episode is and one of the things, I guess I'll talk about it now so I don't forget at the end, but these 3 episodes cover 3 very different but intricately related like very cyberpunk fucking concepts. Like first episode, we've got the haunted computer building, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's been
reused. Ghost in the Machine, classic fucking cyberpunk stuff.
That's been reused so many fucking times. The second one, we've got killing machine fucking Terminator robot.
Military Terminator bot, of course.
Yeah. And this one, we have, of course, vampires.
Perhaps the most overdone cyberpunk trope.
And by that, I mean the extremely elderly who refuse to die.
Yes, correct.
And corporate structures that...
Not just elderly, but elderly rich.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really like they really fucking nailed these 3 episodes.
Yeah,
I mean,
they did.
They are as cyberpunk. Those are like 3 of the main cyberpunk plots.
I mean, it's hard to find fault from a cyberpunk angle because, like, the main characters are cops, but cops are bullshit. They're not cops by choice.
Yeah.
Corporations are bullshit. Governments are bullshit. Everything is bullshit. Everything is bad.
Yeah, it's
fight
amazing.
Against it all at every chance.
Yeah. It's maybe the greatest TV show I've ever seen.
The Wire cries in the corner.
So episode 3. This one's called Crimson Memory. I think I've got it. I apparently typoed the second word. It's Crimson something.
Actually, it's not popping up here. Hold on.
Because mine says Crimson Media.
Crimson Media. Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah. Let me see. Does it pop up here? It is Crimson Media. Yeah. Okay. At least according to IMDb. So we open this episode, classic cyberpunk fashion. Rose petals blowing in the wind.
Cherry blossom. Oh no, this is rose petals.
Yeah. And Benton looking sexy, staring off into the distance.
Yeah. Benton does a lot of brooding, which you would expect from a character like Benton.
Yeah. And then we run into a lady in a cloak. And at this point I typed, are we in a vampire movie? Just like as a joke, because like this is all set up. It's very like gothic and like these rose petals blowing in the wind.
Well, they drew this woman so much differently than they drew Sarah.
Yeah.
Like Sarah looked like a bad. This woman looks like something out of a Castlevania.
Yeah, she really does. And I literally typed a joke. Are we in a vampire movie? Then
not knowing,
and they have like this, this existential conversation about how, life was blah, blah, blah. What is meaning? The stars, that shit.
Yeah. Benton's very He's very philosophical.
Yeah. And they have a conversation about the stars, and then he like turns around and suddenly she's disappeared. And then we cut to a weird shadow floating over the city. Ooh, spooky. And a beardo at a computer terminal who's all scared. And he's like, what the fuck's happening? Pulls a gun out of a drawer, and then his arm breaks psychically as he's trying to aim it. And he's attacked by the shadow of a lady with a face and fangs. And then I typed all caps, was I right? Is this vampire shit? And it turns out, yes, I was right. This is vampire shit.
Dead on.
I felt pretty good about calling that. Like in minute 0.5. So turns out this guy was a bioengineering criminal. He's got fang wounds on his neck, and there's a number written in blood on the wall. And he's the third victim that's like this. And everybody's like, including Varsus, is like, no, vampires aren't a thing. It doesn't mean anything.
But Benton knows.
Benton knows. And he's going to go off and try and chase this down. And Sengoku's like, you're a fucking idiot. Vampires aren't real. And
okay. Yeah. And this is where he says my favorite line from the whole show that I actually wrote down.
I typed it. Feel free.
Benton says to Shingoku, get lost. You wouldn't recognize a goddamn vampire if it jumped up and bit you on the end of your fucking dick.
So just get off my back. I paused, rewound, paused, rewound, paused, rewound like 4 times to get it just right.
Because Benton is like so graceful and soft-spoken and philosophical, and then all of a sudden, like, you wouldn't recognize a goddamn vampire if it bit your dick off, asshole.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking beautiful, and should have won an Emmy.
Yeah. Yeah, it should have. If not, Best Picture.
Yeah. Yes.
So then we get this montage of Benton cruising fucking freeways at night, meeting weird merchants and fucking biotech dealers and sex workers, and also Kingpin from Marvel Comics.
I loved this. This scene was short, and it was a montage, but it felt so like the legwork part of the Shadowrun adventure. He's just calling his contacts. He just knows people, and so fucking cool.
Yeah, it's
just good world building, even though it's late in the show. Like, it just shows you the world you're in really well.
Yeah. Then there's this fun encounter with a street gang where they try to flamethrower him, but he mono-wires the shit out of him.
Pointless, but loved it.
Yeah.
Calling him pigs and making pig puns.
Yeah. Let's have some roast pork, flamethrower.
Careful, it'll give you the shits.
Yeah. It's something. And then he's cruising down the freeway, and then exactly him but female, like shows up on a fucking Segway,
something like that, some type of hoverboard,
a floating Segway with a giant gun. And it turns out that she knows him, and I'm not sure of her name because in the subtitles on Tubi, I think it was that I watched this on, it said Kelly. But he kept saying her name as Carrie. So,
yeah,
or at least what I heard as Carrie. Not important. And she apparently she's been hired to kill him, but she lets him go for old time's sake because she didn't know he was the target until she got to this point. And then we get to.
By the way, I believe it's Kelly on IMDb.
Okay. So then we get to the last little bit of the meeting his contacts thing, and he's interrogating this weird dude about the guys who are dead, and the guy says, you should check out their last paychecks, basically saying they all worked at the same place.
Yeah.
And they did. It's at the Seonji Medical Institute. So we go to the first bit of utopia seeming place in the entire fucking series. Like, we haven't seen anything that wasn't just hardcore sci-fi, dystopia shit, just city shit up until this point. But, we see this beautiful building that's surrounded by gardens and shit like that. And he goes in and meets with the big boss, who's this super old guy. and says that, oh yeah, all those guys got fired last year because it turned out they had criminal records. And this guy has like fucking dinosaur heads on the wall, which is a pretty fun detail. And then Benton's like, oh, okay, whatever. And he's leaving. And then he figures out, wait, the number was a cryo capsule number because he sees it on like a sign on an elevator.
The number scrawled on the wall back in the original murder.
Yeah. So then he takes a space elevator. And he's up in orbit, and the space station part looks like a fucking Gothic cathedral with arches everywhere. We're like, yes, fucking vampire shit up.
Space vampires? Are you kidding me? Sign me up all day.
Yeah. He finds the capsule number, opens it up, finds out that it was frozen in 2504, like 300 years ago. And it's got a name on it. It's Remy Medusa. and it's empty except for rose petals. Oh, shit.
Frozen. They shatter nicely when you squeeze them.
Then another cryo chamber opens, and it's a saber-toothed cat with a laser cannon mouth.
With a laser mouth, yes.
And he mono wires the fuck out of it.
Yeah, he's been mono wiring a lot of dudes, by the way, just cutting off arms left and right. It's good shit.
Yeah, he cuts off that fucking cat's head. I mean, then there's another one, and then there's a chase, and he mono wires it, and he falls down the elevator shaft. And then the old boss guy in a wheelchair wheels up to the shaft and looks down. And is like, haha, we took care of that problem. But Benton's hanging from a wire, so it's okay.
Yeah. His wire is very useful.
Yeah.
It'll cut through steel, but sometimes it'll also wrap around steel, and sometimes he can hold on to it with his hands and not get his hands cut off.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So we make contact with Gogol, and he's been looking at all the data from the crime scene at the beginning, and it turns out this guy had been working on a viral cure for immortality. All of the cells will regenerate, but there's a problem. The person with this has to drink blood. So
just like a mythical creature.
Yeah. So then we run into Kelly again. There's a shootout and he blows her away. She was never a good shot anyway.
But he's regretful of it.
Yeah, he's like, that sucks. And it turns out that she got hired by Sionji, the boss of the medical institute, to kill him. And we find some data files that indicate that, oh my God, the Remy Medusa name is the girl that we saw at the beginning of the episode. Whoa, shit, we're all shocked.
Yeah.
And then... I don't know.
Sengoku's Medusa. That's such a good name, dude.
Yeah, it really is. Sengoku's like trying to hunt her down, and he, chases her out of an apartment and shoots her with a homing device or something.
Right, because Sengoku has now been assigned to this case.
Yeah. And she ends up meeting Benton at a park near her old apartment because he read her files and knew she used to come here or something.
Yeah. It's not even a park anymore. It's like a blasted land that was a park when she was here 300 years ago.
So we go through this thing. Her new life is a living nightmare. She had this hereditary anemia. They froze her in hopes that eventually there'd be a cure, but she got unfrozen so that she could be modified to give a cure to the old man.
Yeah, she's like a guinea pig or something. I couldn't quite follow it, but
that's exactly it. Yeah. Okay. Everybody else died that they were testing things on.
She lived.
Yeah. And then she takes off because Sengoku shows up and starts trying to capture her. Benton fucks him up.
It's really funny because you get to see the difference. Like Benton sees nuance in things and like sees that, this girl might not be a problem. Sengoku sees this as 3 years off his sentence and immediately starts fucking blasting.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's such a piece of shit.
We also learned that Gogol maybe found a cure that will kill the vampires.
That's what that's what everybody who'd been killed was working on, and they'd actually finished it.
Yeah. So Benton goes back to the space elevator, and Gogol and Sengoku are following. And then we get up to the space station part, and Gogol knocks Sengoku out.
Yeah.
And basically says like, good luck, Benton, like tosses the jite to him because he has dosed it with the only thing that'll kill the fucking vampire.
Yeah, and I get the sense this wasn't like totally it wasn't out of any respect for Benton. Like he basically says, I'll kill you myself if you don't get the job done.
Yeah.
But I think he knew the greater
caught.
Like he was more aware of what was going on behind the scenes, whereas Sengoku only really cared about reducing his sentence another few years.
Yeah. So we get we're in the cathedral area. The old guy is fucking arguing with Remy, and then suddenly now he took the vampire thing, so he's a vampire too, and he's
young and strong.
Yeah, he becomes fucking Dracula from the Castlevania anime.
Basically, almost exactly.
Yeah. And does a bunch of psychic shit and like disappears and is invisible and whatever. And Benton fucking he's about to kill her, and then fucking Benton shows up and mono whips the shit out of him.
Good stuff.
Like mostly severs his arm, and says another great line. Now, Mr. Saionji, I'm arresting you for a whole host of shit that I can't be bothered to list.
You have the right to remain silent, etc., etc.
Yeah. And then Saionji's like, you're fucked, and starts regenerating. And then there's a big vampire and sword fight. I mean, it's exactly what you would expect with a fucking monowire Street Sam versus a invisible vampire.
Yeah, amazing. I was actually into this fight a little bit more than Gogol and the Terminator Predator fight.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. It seemed a little more higher stakes, and then it does end with the vampire dude getting spaced.
Yeah, Benton lures him to the shuttle dock and then spaces the motherfucker.
And he literally explodes into a million pieces in space. But that doesn't kill a vampire. That's not a stake through the heart. Is the last I checked.
Yeah, and we're like, oh, thank God it's over. And then you see the globs reforming.
Yeah. Very T2.
He re-enters the station. Benton ends up stabbing him with the jite, and then he basically does the, drinking from the wrong grail thing.
Yeah.
Where he just turns into like a fucking skeleton in dust. And then he secretly, when nobody else is around, kisses Remy, who is still alive, and places her back in her cryopod, which he then shoots into space because of love.
Well, they have a conversation about they had talked
about
light traveling from the stars, and how she wants to since she can't die, she just wants to travel in space forever, which sounds horrific to me, but whatever.
Yeah. It's absolutely romantic fucking anime bullshit. I mean,
but he even says no, everything must end at the end. So he's like, this ain't gonna. Maybe I thought he aimed her at the sun. I thought that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's a cool way to kill a vampire.
It is.
Shoot him into the sun.
Anyway, that's the end of it. This show ruled. Why weren't there thousands of episodes?
Yeah, I did love it. I loved focusing on each character. Made you appreciate the other characters more because you could kind of see them from the different points of view. Because I can see how, like, Sengoku on the first one, you're like, okay, this guy's an asshole, but he's a lovable asshole. And the other ones, he's like, this guy's just kind of annoying.
Yeah, he really is.
And then, Benton's all mysterious in the other ones. And then you get to his episode, and he's like, he's kind of romantic.
He's exactly what you think when you look at him.
Yeah, he's very stereotypical, but it's fun stereotypes.
Yeah, it's everything about it is fucking great. I mean,
yeah, I can't disagree. Just a joy to watch, even if I did it at the last minute last night. I wish there might be some spin-offs out there. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't fully researched it, but there might be some other things with these characters.
I think there's some manga. I think there might be a manga spin-off. And yeah, there's a game that probably never came out in the US.
Yeah.
But
we can get our hands on any of it. I'd be happy to cover more Cyber City stuff because fun world building.
I found alternate titles for the episodes. Oh God. In the UK releases, the first episode is Virtual Death.
Oh,
That
nice.
was the haunted building. The UK title for the decoy program, the Gogol episode, is Psychic Trooper, which rules.
Yeah.
And then the last one is Bloodlust.
Okay. Nothing special about that, but appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really picked like 3 extremely stereotypical anime characters.
Yeah, it's and like they combined that with 3 extremely stereotypical cyberpunk plots.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
And
really,
sometimes stereotypes just work. Like sometimes that's what you want.
yeah.
What do you say we rate it?
Yes, let's do that. But I do want to relay that the video game, which was only released in Japan, was titled Cyber City Oedo 808, Attribute of the Beast.
Oh, nice. God, I want to play it. I bet there's
I
a
know.
ROM of it out there somewhere.
Whether or not we would be able to play it, like in terms of not knowing
Understand it.
Japanese, but
Yeah. Probably not possible, but
yeah.
I'm curious. Maybe I can find a review or something.
Yeah.
The story of this, it was basically three short stories. I think nothing, like we said, nothing new, but a good encapsulation of very standard cyberpunk themes. So, I don't know. What do you think? I'm thinking probably 7.
Yeah, 7 was the number I was going to go with because, yeah, there's nothing revolutionary about it, but it's all really well done.
I mean, the final one seems very, almost kind of inspired. I mean, very inspired by Neuromancer. I mean, it's a old person seeking immortality in space.
Yeah, and ruining normal people's lives.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 7's fair.
Yeah.
Nothing new, but very well told. Influence, I gotta think it had some because
yeah,
that mono whip, Johnny Mnemonic probably directly copied.
Yeah, I don't. Again, we're always going to run into this with the anime stuff just because I don't have enough depth in it.
Yeah.
To know, like, I don't know. Well, there's a mono whip in the Johnny Mnemonic short story.
Yeah, true. But I mean, how it works.
Depictions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't know. And yeah, I feel like this must be fairly influential, but I just don't fucking know. It rules. I can tell you that.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 6 because I think, I mean, it's old enough. It's got a cult following. I'm sure people watch this and got ideas. Maybe it should be even higher than 6, but
I don't know. I think 6 is a safe one. If you know different, audience, let us know.
Yeah. Email hightechlowlifepodcast@gmail.com. And
yeah.
If there are things we left out, because we did have to put this one together kind of quick and couldn't do a lot of research.
Yeah. Well, and there's just not a ton that I am able to read of research.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another problem. Prescience.
This is exactly the life I live. I have an explosive collar. I curse.
I have a psi I carry around and inject people with vaccines.
Yeah.
I think this world that they've depicted, I mean, cops basically are criminals, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're the biggest gangs in the nation.
This isn't just like a leftist point of view. I worked for the police at one point. I did a ride along with a cop. He was specifically telling me, I found myself at a crossroads once where I could either go full criminal or go cop, and I chose cop. Like that was a direct conversation I had with a cop back in the day.
That's a standard.
I don't think that's a unique situation.
No, not at all.
So, I don't know if that contributes to the prescience of this at all, but I definitely see space prisons. That's coming, right? It's got to be coming.
Got to be, yeah. Also, I would note for the record that no cop is as cool as any of these 3 prisoners.
No, they're all very cool.
Yeah.
I let's just give it a 5 out of 5. That's pretty standard what we go with for a lot of these because I can definitely see it.
Prescience is a tough one.
It's a tough one. It only really works for the ones that focus more on the dystopia than the
Yeah.
Style?
I think that I don't know, I loved it. I loved the style, but I think a huge amount of that is probably just nostalgia for it's that old ass anime shit.
It's that old anime that I love so much.
Yeah.
But there is the haircuts.
Yeah. I mean, Gogol just fucking rules. He's wearing a goddamn vest with no shirt and fucking
mohawk
visor
eye visor.
Yeah.
And fucking I'm doing it now.
and Benton be sexy.
Benton be sexy, and Sengoku's like red duster, like
yeah. I don't know. It's exactly the anime bullshit that I want. I guess
8.
Yeah, 8.
8. And then 5 out of 5 hand raisers. I loved it. I'm gonna give it 5.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
a 5.
That's too much. It was too much fun.
It's so much fun, and it even though this week was just particularly troubling in terms of my schedule stuff, this thing goes down so fucking easy.
It does. It's over we've watched so many things that are 90 minutes that feel like a struggle to get through.
Yeah.
This was over 2 hours and just flew by. So,
oh yeah. Every episode is just like, great, what's next?
Yeah.
especially once, 20 minutes or 10 minutes into the second episode, you go, oh, so they're doing like one character per episode. I wonder what Benton's is going to be like.
Yeah. Yeah. Good shit. Thank you for the recommendation. And hopefully we can find a spinoff or something to dive a little deeper into the Cyber City in the future. I would just like to see it.
Yeah, maybe we can find that game or something.
Oh, I'm just seeing here you instituted drop-down boxes in our HTML list spreadsheet.
Oh, I did?
Somebody did. They exist.
I saw that on another one of my spreadsheets.
Maybe it's just an Excel update or a Google Docs update.
Yeah, must be.
Anyway,
next week, what are we doing, Eric?
We have decided we're going to try to keep it a little spooky throughout October.
Because it is spoopy season.
It's spoopy season. We did have another listener suggest one for like the Halloween episode, and unless something comes up, we'll probably do that.
Yeah.
And which is it's a cyberpunk horror movie. But in the meantime, we'll just try to keep spooky vibes, because this isn't by any means a horror movie, but it is a weird 90s.
A 1998 tech noir film.
It's a tech noir, yeah.
It comes
not to be confused with the tech noir.
It comes directly out of that club in Terminator.
Yeah. It is called Dark City.
Yes. Directed by Alex Proyas, who has come up before many times. Stars Rufus Sewell, Kiefer Sutherland, Jennifer Connelly. I have seen this movie. I do not remember how cyberpunk it is. I do remember it looked very cool. And it's on a bunch of cyberpunk movie lists.
It's on all the lists, and it's been up for Cyberpunk Film Festival Awards.
Yeah.
So it's got to be close enough. If you got a problem with us using it, bring it up on r/cyberpunk. I'm sure they'll agree with you.
Yeah.
So that'll be next week. And let's plug some social media. We are on Twitter at Johnny60seconds, and we're on Bluesky. If you look for hightechlowlife.bisky.whatever.
Yeah.
I'm the frog with a 0. Josh is ace_Collins. It's on Bluesky. Or I think you're Josh from High Tech Low Life.
Yes, I believe that's the case.
And we have a Patreon, patreon.com/hightechlowlife. Email us if you want to talk about Cyber City 080808 at hightechlowlifepodcast@gmail.com.
Yes. And remember that the 808 kick drum makes the girlies get dumb. We're rolling Rainier, and the jealous want to get some.
That is very true.
That is from Posse on Broadway by Sir Mix-a-Lot.
I was going to say, is that your sign-off?
Nope.
Okay.
But it popped into my head a second ago, and I cannot get things out.
Yeah, I understand. So what is your sign-off? Because I think we're at the point of the show where it's time to end.
It's your turn now, soldier boy. How do you fancy your chances? Your machine was pretty good, but a limp dick pen pusher like you, not so good. Normally, I'd be too tired to bother killing you, but I see I owe you one for Sarah's death.
I love it. Watch this fucking show. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
This has been the High Tech Low Life podcast. Find us on Twitter at Johnny60seconds, email us at hightechlowlifepodcast@gmail.com, and find us on Patreon at patreon.com/hightechlowlife. Theme music by Nihilor at nihilor.com. Thank you for listening.
Keep it moving. Come on, what are you waiting on? Let's go.
They're trashing our rights, man! They're trashing the fluid data! They're trashing! Hide the planet!
Shut up and get in the car.
Oh man, I wish they made more of those. And I wish I discovered it when we were 16.
Oh, I know. It's like I was just sitting there watching it thinking, man, this is the perfect thing. Like, this is a perfect object.
Think how many of those lines would just be in our skulls.
Yeah. I don't have a single complaint about that fucking thing, like, at all.
Yeah.
Other than I wish there was tons more.
I know. Although part of me is like kind of glad there isn't, but also,
yeah,
it's one of those things. Like the perfect things are always the perfect amount, it seems like. Yeah. But you always want more anyway. Yeah. But that's what makes them perfect. So
that's something that Ebert said years and years ago, that a good movie is never long enough and a bad movie is never short enough.
Yeah, that's so true.
That's how it works.